Today, we're going to delve into a critical issue that impacted global economies and households in 2022, an event that many perceived as a fertilizer crisis, but which we argue was fundamentally a hydrogen crisis. When natural gas prices soared, we quickly saw fertilizer prices follow suit, and then, inevitably, food prices escalated. This sequence of events wasn't a coincidence. It was a direct consequence of how our modern food system is engineered. What we witnessed was a profound failure in the hydrogen supply chain, a connection that, surprisingly, very few people identified at the time. Understanding this underlying mechanism is crucial for preventing similar disruptions in the future and for building a more resilient global food system. Let's explore why this connection is so vital. To truly grasp the nature of the 2022 crisis, we need to understand that what appears to be a purely agricultural process is, in fact, deeply intertwined with our energy systems. It all begins at the natural gas well, where this fossil fuel is extracted. This natural gas isn't just burned for energy. A significant portion of it is processed in specialized plants to produce hydrogen. This hydrogen is then a critical component in the synthesis of ammonia, which is the foundational building block for most nitrogen fertilizers. These fertilizers are indispensable for growing staple crops like corn, wheat, and soybeans, which in turn feed livestock, ultimately bringing food to our tables. So the chain is clear. Energy becomes hydrogen, hydrogen becomes ammonia, ammonia becomes fertilizer, fertilizer becomes crops, and crops become food. This intricate connection means our global food system is indirectly, yet profoundly, tied to the price and availability of natural gas. The economics of ammonia production reveal just how sensitive the fertilizer industry is to natural gas prices. For most ammonia producers, hydrogen derived from natural gas accounts for a staggering 60 to 80% of their total operating costs. This means that when natural gas prices experience a significant increase, the cost of producing ammonia can skyrocket by 300 to 400%. Natural gas isn't just an energy source for these plants. It's also the primary chemical feedstock. This dual dependency creates a unique vulnerability, as producers are simultaneously exposed to price spikes from two angles. When gas prices cross a certain threshold, the ammonia production simply becomes unprofitable, leading to shutdowns, as we observed across Europe in 2022. For conventional ammonia producers, there's no internal hedge against these gas price fluctuations. Their entire operation is tied to this single commodity. The journey from a shock at the wellhead to higher prices on the grocery shelf is a clear and predictable chain of events. An increase in natural gas prices directly elevates the cost of hydrogen production. This, in turn, drives up the cost of ammonia, which is the primary component of nitrogen fertilizers. As fertilizer prices rise, the cost of crop production for farmers increases significantly. Ultimately, these higher production costs translate into higher food prices for consumers. What we witnessed in 2022 was not a system failure, but rather the system behaving exactly as designed. Energy costs propagated efficiently through the hydrogen, ammonia, and fertilizer supply chains, directly impacting global agriculture. The food crisis that emerged was, in essence, the downstream expression of a severe upstream energy shock. The mechanism by which higher fertilizer costs translate into higher food prices is swift and impactful. When fertilizer prices increase, farmers face significantly higher input costs for their crops. This can lead to two critical outcomes. Either farmers absorb these costs, which reduces their profitability, or they pass them on to consumers through higher crop prices. Additionally, higher fertilizer costs can compel farmers to reduce the amount of fertilizer they apply. This reduction in application directly leads to lower crop yields and, consequently, a reduced overall supply of food. With less supply and higher production costs, the inevitable result is higher food prices for everyone. This transmission from fertilizer cost to food price can happen within weeks to a few seasons, making it incredibly difficult for food systems to adapt or absorb the shock before it reaches the consumer. Our global agricultural system, which feeds billions, is profoundly dependent on fossil energy markets, specifically on fossil-derived hydrogen. The current architecture of our food supply chain represents a single point of failure. Natural gas prices propagate risk throughout the entire system, from hydrogen supply to ammonia production, fertilizer availability, and ultimately, crop yields and food supply. It's a stark reality that approximately 95% of the world's hydrogen is currently derived from fossil fuels. This means that roughly 50% of global food production relies directly on this fossil-derived hydrogen. This deep dependency creates significant vulnerabilities, exposing our food security to the volatility and geopolitical risks inherent in fossil fuel markets. It's an engineering challenge that demands a fundamental rethinking of our energy and food infrastructure. The propagation of a shock originating at the natural gas wellhead through our energy food system highlights its inherent vulnerabilities. The extraction of natural gas feeds directly into global gas markets, influencing prices and availability. This gas is then converted into hydrogen, which is essential for ammonia synthesis. Ammonia, in turn, is the backbone of our fertilizer supply, which is critical for agriculture supporting the global population. This entire chain is characterized by several critical weaknesses. It has single points of failure, is heavily dependent on fossil fuels, and is exposed to significant geopolitical risks. Crucially, there is very little system redundancy built in. A disruption at any point, particularly at the natural gas source, can send ripple effects throughout the entire system, threatening global food security. The good news is that we have a powerful solution to decouple fertilizer production from the volatility of fossil fuel markets: green hydrogen. This innovative approach utilizes renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower to energize electrolyzers, which then split water into hydrogen and oxygen. This green hydrogen can then be used in the Haber-Bosch process to synthesize ammonia, creating a truly sustainable pathway for fertilizer production. This method offers numerous benefits, including local production capabilities, the potential for lower, more stable costs, and enhanced energy resilience. While the transition presents challenges such as the initial cost of electrolyzers, managing variable renewable power, and developing hydrogen storage and logistics, the geopolitical implications are profound. Countries rich in solar and wind resources could become major green ammonia exporters, fundamentally reshaping the global map of food security. Transitioning to green hydrogen for ammonia production requires smart strategies for managing variable renewable energy sources. The goal is to ensure continuous and stable ammonia production, even when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing. This involves integrating renewable electricity generation with efficient hydrogen production and robust storage solutions. Advanced engineering and operational strategies are crucial to handle power fluctuations and optimize the entire process. While there are integration challenges, such as the cost of storage and the complexity of plant engineering, the benefits are substantial. This approach allows for stable ammonia output, continuous fertilizer supply, and a complete decoupling from volatile fossil fuels and gas markets. Furthermore, it significantly reduces carbon emissions, contributing to a more sustainable and resilient global food system. The 2022 crisis served as a stark demonstration. Our global food system is inextricably linked to our energy system. The fertilizer price spike was not an agricultural problem. It was, at its core, a hydrogen problem. This fundamental connection means that unless we actively decouple fertilizer inputs from fossil fuels, we are destined to face similar crises again in the future. Understanding this critical link is not just about preventing future disruptions, it's precisely where the future of hydrogen begins. By recognizing hydrogen's pivotal role, we can innovate towards sustainable solutions that build resilience into our food supply and energy infrastructure.